Love it. Perfect.
It is the Morning Boys, Ryan Hickey and Mark Everett Kelly with you on a Monday morning. In case you're just tuning in, hearing us for the first time, or normally listening to us on a Tuesday and Friday, new year comes a new time slot, Monday and Thursday. Still 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. on the East Coast, but we will be here now every Monday, Thursday, instead of Tuesday, Friday. So hope that still fits in your schedule. You can still make us a part of your mornings one way or another. The song, Mark, you hit on it. You're hearing it. Who Are You by The Who. Very fitting as we welcome in Christine Firko, Giants Insider Magazine contributor at Christine Firko on Twitter, because the Giants make a new hire last week, Joe Judge. The first reaction by all the fan base, a lot of the media was, who is this guy? Who? So to kind of get those answers, kind of dive into who Joe Judge is, what you can expect from his head coaching style, just everything we can get moving forward. Christine is here to break down. So Christine, Ryan Hickey, Mark Everett Kelly with you. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you? I think we all know who Joe Judge is now.
Yes. Oh, yes. So we talked about as soon as he's hired, that was the first question is who is Joe Judge? Obviously, the special teams coordinator for the New England Patriots comes down, crushes the hire, and the Giants hire Joe. And then he has this press conference where I think anyone who has any doubts or just really question the move and wanted someone else, I think really, for the most part, was determined to hear Joe Judge really speaking confidently, talking about the direction that the Giants will have to play a physical style of football. They'll be disciplined, and essentially brought a lot of the same principles that he learned under Bill Belichick in New England that he's going to try to bring here to New York. So what was your first impressions after listening to that kind of press conference and hearing the message and the style that Joe was trying to bring here to the Giants?
When we first heard the announcement, I was surprised like everyone else, but I knew the Giants were onto something when I found out that Judge was coached under Bill Belichick and the great Nick Saban. Being a special teams coach and a wide receiver coach with the Patriots, where he won 3 Super Bowls, and a special teams assistant with Alabama, where he won 2 national titles. Right out of the gate, you knew that his resume wasn't very, very impressive. I was on board right away. I had a really good feeling, and I had confidence that the Giants had finally, after Pat Shurmur, made the right choice, especially with Bill Belichick saying that, Judge thinks quickly, he's an excellent teacher, and that the game comes easy to him. I was not enamored with Matt Rule, who seemed to be the likely replacement for Pat Shurmur.
Really? Why is that? Because obviously a lot of, at least in terms of Giants fans, that was kind of the name that a lot of people wanted. That was kind of their guy that they thought they would get. Obviously has a connection with the Giants coaching before he went over to Temple and then to Baylor. How come? What was it about Matt Rule that you weren't so sold on or enamored with, where you didn't think he would be successful with the Giants?
Well, I give him credit for turning around Temple and Baylor, but that's college. Let's remember that. Unlike Judge, who was already in the NFL, Matt Rule, to me, came off more as a politician, more of a rah-rah guy personality, which is very suited for college. And like I said, Joe Judge was already a real football coach, not a quarterback whisperer or a defensive guru. And I think that Matt Rule getting a ridiculous 7-year, $60 million, potential $70 million contract from David Tepper, coach of the Carolina Panthers, I think he got bamboozled by a good salesman.
I'm with you there, Christine, at least money-wise. That, to your point, that's a lot of money for a first-time NFL head coach.
That's a lot of money. The Giants were never going to give 7 years to anyone. And when Rule called the Giants, to see if they would match that offer, without even being interviewed, I was glad that the Giants declined. They weren't, like I said, they weren't giving 7 years to anyone, and they already wanted Joe Judge, who had been on the radar for years. And the Giants also acted quickly because they had fear that Judge would return to his alma mater, Mississippi State, who wanted him to be their head coach.
Right. And I'm with you there, too. The Giants, me and Mark kind of talked about on Friday, they seemed a little dysfunctional since kind of Tom Coughlin left with Ben McAdoo and Pat Shurmur, just a lot of behind-the-scenes messes that normally for a Giants team that's so first-class, well-run through ownership down, that we're not really accustomed to seeing. My question with that, at least laying that out there, is obviously Joe Judge is a first-time head coach, and really, between Matt Rule and a lot of the other candidates that the Giants either did plan to interview or did interview in the past, seemed like it was going to be a first-time NFL head coach that was going to get this job. Does that worry you at all? Because obviously the last two head coaches of the Giants, Pat Shurmur and Ben McAdoo, were first-time NFL head coach. Ben McAdoo was. Pat Shurmur had a 2-year stint in Cleveland that didn't work out. Do you like that the Giants, or does that concern you at all, I should say, that Joe Judge will be a first-time NFL head coach kind of coming and still kind of learning on the job per se? Are you confident that he has enough knowledge, enough experience under Bill Belichick to kind of come in seamlessly here and really transition the Giants to greener pastures?
Well, look, nobody knows who's going to be the better coach. Matt Rule, Joe Judge, nobody knows. And, of course, there's always concerns with first-time head coaches. But, again, he was with two of the greatest coaches of all time. We all know that. So under Saban and Belichick. And what he did during that time and how his former coaches spoke of him and the fact that he's used to winning. He won 3 Super Bowls already in the NFL, part of that. So there's reservations, but I really do feel a lot of confidence. And on Thursday, we saw what was one of the most monumental introductory press conferences we've ever seen from Judge, and it wasn't just talk. He praised his past coaches, most importantly, Belichick and Saban. But Judge, I feel, is his own man with plans of being a teacher, which I think that all resonated with us a lot. We like that idea of teaching. And he clearly is that old school kind of disciplinarian. He's a visionary. And he's steadfast on bringing back respectability to the Giants. And former players felt a reminiscence of Tom Coughlin and that winning mindset of Belichick and Saban. And as he said, he will do his due diligence on building his coaching staff. And we got the news last night. I think he made a good decision already, choosing his defensive coordinator, Patrick Graham. And I like that it's his choice. It's his guy. And he looks to be a very solid decision with his, he had already a tenure with the Giants as our D-line coach from 2016 and 17 under McAdoo, and his time with the Patriots as defensive line coach and linebacker coach, where he was part of a Super Bowl with Judge. That's where the tie is. So, with all of that combined, I feel good about it. He's not just, he hasn't always just been in college. He has that taste. He has that experience of the NFL.
Hey, Christine, how are you?
Good.
Now, I think one of the most impressive things about Judge is that when you look at his line of work and the people he worked for, obviously, like we've been talking about, how he got the job with Alabama, he went, him and Saban had some people in common, and Saban said, you can come aboard and you can be an analyst, a special teams analyst, not necessarily on the field. But what he did was he helped design the plays for their special teams unit. He helped organize game film. He helped go through and pick out weaknesses of the other team. These are all things that Saban and Belichick did themselves in their first jobs. That's how they got. Belichick first joined the NFL. He did that for the Colts and Ted Marchibroda in the mid-'70s. So he's groomed that way to be like a gym rat, somebody who just studies and so intense and is so prepared for everything that can come his way. I mean, you have just statements from Nick Saban alone. They are getting an extremely smart football coach who is very loyal, organized, and diligent about getting the job done. We wish Joe very well. And Belichick says the same thing. He said he did an excellent job. And this is a guy who, for the Patriots special teams this year, they led the league in average field position for them and for opponent field position as far as best and worst. So he's done, just in his experience with what he's been given, has done a very good job.
Absolutely. Everything we can say, and I said it wasn't just talk. You could see he's going to be great with the media too. Mm-hmm. Very smart. We hear all these words. Everybody has a lot of confidence in him and nothing but rave reviews for him. So now we just have to wait and see, and we get our first opportunity with free agency. Mm-hmm. What is he going to do there? What's going to happen in the draft? And free agency is going to be very, very key for the Giants this year. I know I have a few guys on my list that I'd like to sit in on those decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But that's going to really dictate what we do in the draft. And I'd like to also say that pretty clear that we should trade down to get those extra picks. And perhaps the team will come up to get Tua.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. So you are in the boardroom now. You are with Judge and Gettleman, and you have to design a game plan for the off season. What are our needs? What are our free agent needs? What are our draft needs? How would you go about advising them? What would some of your game plans be? I know you shared some of it a little bit, but let's pretend that you were in the boardroom. You are at the chalkboard. You have the chalk in your hand. Go.
Okay, that's my dream. First of all, thank you. But starting March 11th, let's get right to it. As you know, and I've said many, many times before, and I've written in my Giant Insider articles for a long time, offensive line. Mm-hmm. Number one, free agent on my radar, Jack Conklin of the Tennessee Titans. He can replace Nate Solder, or he can play, he can play wherever you need him, right tackle, but I see him replacing Nate Solder. Number two, Anthony Costanzo, offensive tackle from the Colts. So those are two guys that I think are priority in free agency, and that gives us more flexibility in the draft to go after someone like from Alabama, Jerry Jeudy, a wide receiver that is desperately needed. But if I could just backtrack a little bit, on the other side of the ball, defense, number one, we saw him last night, the Davian Clowney of the Seahawks. We have to, this guy is going to be a free agent, and I'm sorry, I see him in a Giants uniform very clearly. A second option, Yannick Ngakoue. Did I correctly? From
this is like George Bush at a press conference, going with the names.
Yeah, and thirdly, a beast that we saw this weekend on the 49ers, Arik Armstead. Arik Armstead is a total game changer. So offensive line, and then addressing the defense, and also if you look at linebackers, number one, Dante Fowler Jr. from the Rams. Second, Bud Dupree from the Steelers, and inside linebacker Corey Littleton from the Rams. So, and here's something just on the radar too. AJ Green has been hurt. We know that, but he's AJ Green, and taking a possible chance on him. I know he missed a year, but look who he is. So just someone to kind of keep in your back pocket.